agree with each other.
But yeah, okay. So can you see how for sure here, if we use a complete philosophical,
for sure that I went less.
so subjective opinion.
Subjective. I confirm you are wearing a necklace.
That's what
Okay, he's confirming it. That's testimony, right?
Well, it's evidence as well. You can see the evidence.
Okay, so the evidence. See here, you're defining evidence as empirical evidence and only reducing it as such. That's why in the beginning of this discussion I said, do you accept causation and contingency as evidence?
On Earth, what we can see.
Yeah, fine, no problem. But what I'm saying is, generally speaking, as precepts, yeah, do you accept contingency and causation? And you said, yeah. And so we went forward with your evidence, with what you accepted, and then you realized that when you apply it to certain cosmological realities, you rejected it.
Bait and switch. Going by that same logic, I could say there's no bacteria all over our bodies because we can't see it. But we know, we can use a microscope, we can see, that there's bacteria there. Just because you can't.
What we've already.
To a degree,
but Simba, exactly. Thank you. So Simba, what you've established right now.
That can help you. Is what you can also use too as evidence.
What we've just established there is that which you can see or hear or smell or whatever isn't necessarily always going to be a representation of the external reality, because it could be the case that those sensory receptors are in fact impaired, or it could be the case that you've interpreted that sensory information in a way which is not in line with the reality. For example, if you're for example, how do you know you're not colorblind? How do you know you're not colorblind?
That's the interesting point too.
I want you to answer this question. How do you know that? What color am I? What color am I?
Well, we don't know if
what is this? What color is this jacket?
You can trust your own senses, but my yellow might not be your yellow.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So actually, what you're saying here is different to what you said about 5 minutes ago, because what you said is, I know for sure my necklace is on. That considers that you are saying.
No, but I'm talking about a term that you use to describe something. Yellow's a word. This is a thing. You can see it. You can feel it. It's not the same as a word that you use to describe it.
Are you listening to? Are you with me on what I'm saying here, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying to you that if you use an entirely empirical approach, I could argue that when a dog sees black and white, that reality is as real as you seeing a colored entity.
To the dog.
Yeah, to the dog. So you can't say that the dog is what the dog sees is wrong and what I see is right.
Well, we know there are many more colors.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So what that suggests is that empiricism, or the idea of using the five senses in order to ascertain real things that are happening on an external level, is limited by the sensory receptive things, which are the five senses themselves, which is the argument that René Descartes put. So actually, your use in the vernacular of the term for sure or definite is in fact never. You can never be sure of anything, according to this, because you're not sure of things which we use contingency for, causation for, or empiricism for. So really, you're not even sure that you're here right now, are you?
You're getting really existential on me here, mate. I mean, the English language is really interesting. You can say for sure in casual conversation. This is what I'm saying. This is a discussion we're having right now. I'm not on trial. I meant that in the sense that I know for sure I can see it to myself. This is definitely here. But you're then coming back at me going, okay, give me the evidence.
No, but the thing is, this is the thing about when I have discussions with atheists, is because they apply a maximum skepticism to what I would consider things which are deducible and which can be tracked through inference of the best explanation. But when I do the same thing, when it comes to, for example, entities in the external world, it becomes pedantic or otherwise something which is above and beyond the scope of discussion, and we shouldn't be talking about that. But if you want to have that level of philosophical skepticism, surely you should be having it with all different kinds of discussion, not just theological discussion.
No, the empiricist approach works wonderfully well. Science has been wonderfully successful in creating the modern world. And science is based upon the empirical approach that you observe, you test, you analyse, you theorise.
That's a good point.
And you refute what doesn't work and you make the...
Yeah, I agree with that point.
Your argument is simply some sort of quasi-philosophical argument that there has to be a contingent body, which you call God. And I say, who made God? Where did that come from? Why is that contingent? Why is that non-contingent itself? Why can't I just say the universe itself is non-contingent?
That's a good question. So do you want me to answer it? So I would say that...
I've heard you answer it before. You don't answer it. You never answer it.
All right, well let me try and repeat it. So here the question he put was that who made God, right? My premise was always the fact that if the universe had, there's cameras here. Oh, sorry. If the universe had a beginning, that beginning must have either been dependent or independent. If it was independent, independent means sovereign, or otherwise it means eternally besought of all.
You're just using terms which are...
Well, you've asked me to define it in one way, so I'm using another word.
You're repeating terms which have no clear meaning.
Okay, if in your opinion they have no clear meaning. What I'm saying is, the argument for causation starts in the following way. Anyways, the cosmological argument. Let me just make this point. Sorry, I apologize. Is that everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. That argument starts with the premise that everything that begins to exist has a cause. We would say that God, or what we would render as the entity that brought everything into existence, didn't begin to exist in the first instance. We'd also say that...
But you can say the same thing of the world.
Pardon?
Never began to
Pardon?
exist. You could say the same thing of the world. Maybe it never began to
Yeah, we had that discussion. We did have that
There
discussion.
might be lost in the universe. We don't know if the universe is eternal.
Yeah, I know, but
we
it's...
do know that there was a big bang.
Yeah.
And according to current theorizing.
Yeah.
But that could be an oscillating universe. We could contract, expand, contract, expand.
Yeah, we've talked about those models as well, kind of.
There's many more. Can I just point out though?
Yes.
Just quickly, on that basis of God must be eternal, have been around forever, separate from the universe. That doesn't make sense either. For the same reason you said to me.
Say that. I didn't say it. Say that again. Sorry.
No, that God being this entity must have been eternal. You can't measure something eternal for a start, as I'm sure you know. It's always been there, always will be.
Okay, so you're saying that. Sorry, go ahead.
By
Sorry,
that
continue.
logic,
Yeah.
you're saying that either there is no God and the universe was caused by natural causes within its own universe, the universe is itself, or there is a God and the universe is eternal and was never created, because you can't measure something that's eternal. You can't
Okay.
say the universe was created 12...
So what you've committed there, what you've
No,
committed...
no, no.
Sorry,
You
sorry.
can't say- I let you talk.
I apologize.
You can't
No, because
say
these
that-
guys also had their little
Just
discussion.
quickly, you can't say the universe was created 15 billion years ago, whatever, by a God. That's also eternal. Why was that not created eternally ago? If the God's been there forever, twiddling his thumbs for all of eternity, you can't possibly have something start.
So,
because-
is that correct? So, can I answer it? So I would say to you that what you've said in the beginning is that if you can't measure eternality, therefore eternality cannot exist.
Concept.
Yeah, right. No, but do you mind if I just answer him?
from the answer of the
Sorry. Let me just answer this, and then you can come in, if that's all right. Okay? So I was just going to say that just because you cannot measure something, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That's called the fallacy, an argument from ignorance. Just because, yeah.
though. You can't measure.
So go ahead. So he wants to say something. Do you give him a permission? Yeah.
What's your name? God?
What's your name, sir? Sorry.
Johanna.
Johanna, how you doing? You're right.
Nice.
Go ahead, sir.
It's just a matter of words. You name something God, you name something the world. No matter what.
Sorry,
say,
can you raise your voice a bit because I can't hear it.
It's just a
Sorry.
matter of names. You call something God, you call something world.
Yeah.
And no matter your reasonings, at the end you could just say, okay, what you said on God, this I call the world. And then it changes.
Yeah, I agree. So it's semantics, right? A lot of it is semantics.
I will just mention one point is that if you those who put the word
Pardon?
God on things, those who say God, they have a lower opinion of the world, which is the paradox. Because if you have a great opinion of God, or if you think God exists, it means you think the world is not beautiful enough and big enough and wonderful enough to exist by itself. It's
Well, I don't think we've made the argument of aesthetics here. I don't talk about how beautiful the world is. I haven't made that the argument. But go ahead. What did you want to say?
No, like my point was, eternity as a concept. It's not something. It's measured in you can't measure it, but in a different way to you can't measure the amount of atoms in the world, sort of thing. It's the sense that.
Does that mean that the atoms don't exist, or?
No, but eternity is something different. It's purely a concept, sort of mathematical concept. You can't possibly begin to measure it.
But you can't negate its existence
It's
because
not
you can't
something
measure it.
It's not something that exists as such. It's a concept.
Yeah, you can't negate its existence because you cannot measure it in the context of the universe.
But that's
So what we're saying that, okay, I agree with you that it does not exist in the context of the universe, but we're talking about the domain which is outside of the known universe.
Which we have no evidence whatsoever.
Exactly.
There is no evidence.
Yeah, there is no evidence, but so we can't speculate it.
it's easier to think eternity than
Everything is based on faith. The fact that you're here talking to me is based on a kind of axiomatic evidence base you've given to yourself.
faith in the biblical sense. You can't.
Well, faith is...
I guess you would argue.
On a philosophical level, everything is faith.
You go to your doctor on the faith that he'll make you better. You'd argue something like that.
Or the fact that you have faith that you're wearing a necklace without your senses
There's
being.
evidence that you can see.
There's evidence of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
There's evidence of Santa Claus.
There's no evidence of that. That's what I'm saying. There's no
And
evidence
you're a living evidence of Santa Claus. I mean, if you were Santa Claus,
My point is everything you're saying,
yeah.
as far as evidence for God or something, can easily be refuted.
Okay, well, I'm happy that I've given you a chance to do that, and we'll see if that's been done. Because frankly, I don't see that there is any substantive
What I will say,
evidences.
actually,
Yeah, go on.
Just to get to the meat, because I feel like we're discussing this much, and the whole subject, there's this much, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Into the meat of it, like, why do people, like, why is there any point in discussing this in the first place if there isn't a reason to be discussing it in the sense of believing in some sort of afterlife? You know, what makes you passionate in that sense to actually want to try and persuade people that there's a God?
Well, I mean,
Why does it matter?
yeah, it's a good question. The question of why is what makes human beings, I would say, unique, right? I would argue that human beings are unique or distinguished by the rest of the animal kingdom in so much as they can ask that question. So I would say that the ultimate question, that why...
No, not necessarily.
Okay. I would argue that.
We can make things, but you go to the London Zoo, 10 minutes down the road.
Okay.
You see, the manga bees there, I think they are, the monkey things, yeah? You see them using sticks, you see them...
Yeah, but that doesn't...
You could say that that's questioning why, because...
Why?
Well, learning is that process. You could say learning is the process, because they use a stick, they figure out that they can get, like, food with it,
Oh,
And
so
then they go-
animals on a lower level, can ants do that?
But it's a lower level, it's a different type of consciousness. All animals think in a different way.
I'm not suggesting that animals don't think.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that on a higher level, human beings can ask moral questions of why.
You can't necessarily assert that. I mean, moral questions, yeah. But, why as in...
Ultimate questions. Why do we exist? What's the purpose of life? And that's, I think, 3 questions come to my mind when we're talking about human existence. Where did we come from? Why are we here? And where are we going? And those questions, I believe, if we're serious about our human existence, we ought to ask ourselves. That's why I'm passionate about it, because I feel like the inference to the best explanation...
You must have a reason behind, because someone like me, I'm doing this, it's a Sunday afternoon, I've got nothing else to do, it's entertaining, I enjoy doing this, yeah. But, someone like me, on an everyday, without being here, I wouldn't feel the need to go over to people and tell them this is how I think. Because it doesn't necessarily, as far as I'm concerned, it's natural processes. There's no afterlife. There's nothing to worry about if you don't have any particular beliefs. We're the same in the physical sense. We're just animals on the planet like everything else. So, there must be a driving force.
Yeah, so I would say that my concept...
They have the driving force of, I want to save people and bring them to the afterlife. I can get that logic, even though I don't believe it. I can understand, but I found that, with Muslims, I find that 99% of them here, they don't want to discuss the Quran or their personal religious beliefs. They just want to talk about one tiny, tiny, tiny point of how the universe began, which none of us can know. That's what I mean.
We do talk about...
I mean,
it's part of their narrative.
The reasons behind your motive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I answered you before.
Because you're asking things that can't be proven.
The Quran is what we believe is a discussion, or it's even the word of God transmitted through the metaphysical entities of angels to the physical entities of prophets to the rest of humankind. But if you don't believe... We believe in angels, yeah.
Jinns and spirits.
Jinns, angels,
so
spirits.
You're going on about you can prove things that you can see. You have there's less proof for angels than there is for God. Do you know what I mean?
Well, but hold on. Because you can't see angels, because they're metaphysical, right? Can you see things that are happening on a quantum level? Well, hold on. Can you see things that are happening on a quantum level?
There's evidence for what's happening on the atomic level.
Exactly. You can measure that.
No, but hold on. Can you see what's happening on a quantum level?
We can, through inference.
No, we can't see what's happening on a quantum level.
We can see the results from machines.
But we cannot see actually what's.
See.
Okay, can you see language?
That's a ridiculous question.
Can you see mathematics?
It's a different concept.
Can you empirically verify
You can see words.
If you don't mind, let me ask this question. Can you empirically verify the existence of mathematics?
You can say 2 + 2 is 4.
Yes, that's conceptually. Abstractly, we can say that.
Everything is conceptual by that logic because language is what we use to
No.
communicate.
There are tangible things and there are intangible things. That's why.
But this has no meaning to it.
But hold on, because what you've said.
Unless you put language.
See, look, when you apply criticality to your own precepts and concepts, you realize that actually, hold on, I'm not being philosophically consistent. Because what you said here is that we have evidence for something's existence, therefore we believe in it. And what you meant by it is that we have empirical evidence. I ask you to get me one empirical.
We follow the best evidence there
Fine.
is for something.
I'm asking you to get me one piece of empirical evidence for the existence of number 5.
I did a maths degree and I've used the number 5 many times. So
Yeah, fine, but it's in your mind. It's not something which is, you can't smell number 5, you can't taste number 5, you can't see number 5, you can't hear number 5.
Very muddy thinking.
That's what I mean.
It's very muddy thinking.
Well,
We're
you see,
comparing the existence of
well, you
angels
have to be able to use, you have to be able to use your own criticality to your own concepts.
You're arguing about something when you can't think of a reason.
Your girlfriend's
to something else.
No, your girlfriend's a clever person because she's using her critical thinking.
No, I'm making a joke for start.
Listen, she's clever.
Give me one piece of
She's doing the
About
right.
angels and you're changing it to maths. That's what I'm saying.
You're saying you don't believe in the existence of angels because you. I'm telling you. If you don't mind, you said here the reason why you don't believe in the existence of angels is because you can't see the angel. I'm saying, okay, so do you believe in the existence of number 5?
I believe that there's a magic blue pumpkin flying around Jupiter. Can you prove that that's not true? That's what you're saying to me.
A magic blue pumpkin.
Yeah, that's there. There's definitely a pumpkin at Jupiter. I believe.
Well, that's interesting because that's falsifiable.
That's what you're saying.
What you've actually done is you've put
That's
forward.
the same thing. You're
No,
saying
it's
you
not.
can't see angels.
Let me tell you.
I
Let me
think
tell you.
they're
Let me tell you the difference. The difference between what you've mentioned and what I'm mentioning is that what you're doing is actually falsifiable from a scientific perspective. If I say here,
What you're saying is
no, it's not.
look, angels.
No, let me tell you why it's not. No, but hold on, please. Simba, be patient with me, please. Because you're asking me questions and I haven't got a problem answering them, but please be patient with them. So the philosophy of science dictates that science has naturalistic presuppositions. So in other words, that which is grasped materialistically is so science only deals with the material world, agreed? So it doesn't deal with metaphysical stuff. Science can only falsify that which is materialistically verifiable through empiricism. Now, what you've said is that you believe in a blue pumpkin flying around Jupiter. That's actually, hold on, I'm just saying, I know you've said that as a matter of argument, right? But if we say that is actually materialistically falsifiable, so if I were able to explore all
It's the same as saying that you can't. You're saying that it's the same way of saying that you can.
No, it's different.
You can replace angel with something.
No,
that
but
doesn't
if you
exist.
don't mind, let me tell you the difference. The difference is science does not deal with things which are metaphysical. Mathematics, for example, language, for example, formal logic, for example, the scientific method, for example, those are metaphysical precepts by which and through which
Define metaphysical.
Metaphysical is that which is not tangible. Yet we still believe in it as a matter of.
Concepts that we constructed our mind.
Yes, like mathematics.
mind.
No, it doesn't necessarily have to be constructed by our mind, but that which we
How do
can
know
reason.
that there's angels if we don't think of them? Like,
Pardon?
You think of angels as a concept.
No, I don't say they're concepts. I'm saying they're metaphysical in the sense that you cannot
As in
verify.
not physical.
You cannot verify them using physical means. You cannot use the 5 senses to see the existence of angels. Okay, but that's the argument from ignorance.
You believe in angels.
That's a fallacy. It's a logical fallacy.
You believe in jinns and angels. I'm asking you, why do you believe in jinns and angels?
So yeah, right. So the reason why because you're asking about me in the second person. So for me, from my first person perspective, I believe in the existence of angels, because once again, if we start from the epistemological base, which is the Quran, I believe that the Quran has enough evidence to substantiate its authority as the word of God. Therefore, as a logical extension, I believe all of the precepts, all of the concepts, and all the
There's a
metaphysics.
lot of things in the Quran that aren't true.
Give me an example.
The sun's
They
setting in a
think
muddy
that,
spring.
for example, they think that sperm
Go ahead.
is created here.
Where does it say that?
I don't know the exact.
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna
it's
look it
mentioned
up.
in chapter 86 of the Quran.
I haven't read it. That's not
Okay.
I know
No,
things about
I
sperm.
know, but see,
That's not true.
right, well, let me tell you, right?
It's made of blood and between the ribs or something like that, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what it says. I'll tell you what it says. Do you know the Arabic language?
not at all. No.
Okay,
I know the translation.
No, I know you know the translation, but now I'm someone who has memorized this part of the Quran, knows the Arabic language, and seen the exegetes and what they have to say about it. So there's two ways of dealing with this, my friend. Now hold on. You can either accept me now as someone who's going to narrate responsibly what the exegetes have said.
I will accept what you're about to say is in the Quran.
So it says, yeah. So فَلْيَنْظُرُ الْإِنسَانِ مِمَّا خُلِقَ. I'm going to say it in Arabic and translate it to you. I'm going to translate it for you.
Just say it in English.
Okay, so let the human being wonder from where he was created. خُلِقَ مِن مَاءٍ دَافِقٍ. He was created from a gushing fluid. يَخْرُجُ مِن بَيْنِ الصُّلْبِ وَالتَّرَائِبِ. That it comes from this word called sulb and tara'ib. The word sulb in the Arabic language has many different meanings. In fact, the exegetes of the Quran...
So they can choose what fits best. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying that the Arabic language facilitates a variety of different meanings. Let's go with the one that you've just mentioned. The one that you mentioned is that between the backbone and the ribs, which I think the majority of translators go with. Now there are two main points of consideration. One is that this is not talking about sperm anyways, because the word for sperm specifically is nutfa. Yeah? The word for sperm in Arabic is not or many. So here, يَخْرُجُ مِن مَاءٍ دَافِقٍ. Ma'in dafiq in Arabic literally means a gushing fluid. Some have said this is referring to semen, because actually semen is distinguished from sperm. And if you look at where the seminal glands are and the prostate gland, both of which actually produce semen, you'll find, even from that perspective, that they are lodged between what is the backbone and the ribs. It's within the...
gland is in your anus, I'm sorry.
Pardon?
The prostate gland is in your anus.
No, but if you look at, if we had a dummy of where the backbone is and where the ribs are...
The ribs end here though.
Yeah, so it's in between here and here.
Slow it down, it's about
This is all very vague.
It's not vague.
What about when the Quran says the sun sets in a muddy field, muddy spring?
Oh, it doesn't say that.
It doesn't say that.
I say no. Well, let me tell you what it says, because you're saying it says something, but here I am to correct you because I'm someone with respect who has studied it and who might know more about this than you do. Might.
You know more of the Quran.
Maybe. I don't know where you've been or what you've studied,
I
but
don't want to read the Quran.
all right. So okay. So what it says is that there was this character in chapter 18 of the Quran. And by the way, we don't believe in as you know, just to make this clear, that science is the be-all and end-all and that it's perfect. And we've had this discussion before and it's on the record. But even if we say that, there was a character called Dhul Qarnayn, mentioned in Dhul Qarnayn. Dhul Qarnayn is mentioned in the end of chapter 18 of the Quran. And he was exploring the world. In fact, according to the Quranic narrative, he went this way, فَأَتْبَعَ سَبَبًا, he went that way, he went this way, he went different places. Then it says that he went to a place west coast, yeah? And he said, وَجَدَهَا, he saw the sun setting in the murky water. He saw that. But if you know about the Quranic discourse here, almost every exegete, even the classical ones that I've written 900 years ago, are saying that Dhul Qarnayn is talking about his personal, what he saw, wajadaha. And that's why it says he saw it going under. It doesn't say that the sun in and of itself as a celestial body sets in the murky water, and that's what the exegetes say.
Alexander the Great, isn't it?
No, there's a difference of opinion among the exegetes. The correct opinion is that he was not Alexander the Great. Some said he's Cyprus the Great and others, but there is a difference because he's Alexander the Great.
It's simply reporting what he saw,
yes,
as opposed to what
because the Quran says for example, if we look at chapter number 21, verse number 33, وَكُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ يَسْبِحُونَ. If you look at chapter 36, verse 40, it talks about the sun, the earth, and the moon. Yeah? And it says, وَكُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ يَسْبِحُونَ. That all of those things are in an orbit with their own rotation. And in fact, Ibn Abbas, who was the most senior Sahabi companion who narrated upon the Quran, he said that means to say that the sun has its own rotation, right? And he actually brought a spinning wheel and he demonstrated that to the Sahaba, so to the companions of the Prophet. So
it talks about 7 heavens.
It talks about 7 heavens.
So what are 7 heavens?
7 heavens are, I would describe them as, so the Quranic discourse says that we live in the first heaven. So in other words, wherever we see, because in chapter 67 of the Quran, it says that وَلَقَدْ جَعَلْنَا سَمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا وَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا سَمَاءَ الدُّنْيا بِمَصَابِيحَ وَجَعَلْنَاهَا رُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينِ. We have certainly adorned the lower heaven with stars, and we have made it a pelting thing for the devils. In other words, wherever we see stars or celestial bodies that resemble stars and planets, that is the first heaven. From that perspective, the Quran, it demonstrates that there are 7 such heavens. In chapter 4,
beyond the stars, there's another heaven.
yeah, so above and beyond the universe, there are other entities which exist.
And the evidence for this is?
The evidence for it, the evidence for it is the same evidence that atheists employ when they talk about multiverse.
Every single scientific point in the Quran was already known about before. It's not like this is the other thing too. Why was nothing about quantum physics or about algebra?
The Quran is fundamentally a book of guidance for people, right? It's not meant to confuse people.
God told him these scientific things that only God would possibly know.
Does the Quran say that
It had
shooting
been known about
stars
for ages.
are missiles sent by Allah to destroy jinns trying to get into heaven?
Yeah, that's what I just recited, yeah.
Is that what it says?
وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ وَجَعَلْنَاهَا رُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينِ.
Shooting stars, which we know what they are in scientific terms, but apparently according to Quran, they're missiles that Allah sent to try and stop jinns getting sticking into heaven.
Yeah, so what we believe is that, do you know how you have fortune tellers, yeah? This is actually what we believe. You have you've probably had from experience, like horoscopes, fortune tellers. We consider that the person who goes to a fortune teller committing one of the major sins, in fact, one of the things that takes them out of Islam. By the way, it's just an interesting point to note, yeah? We believe that there are entities called the jinn, which are in fact synonymous. Some of the jinn are the devils, yeah? We believe in devils.
Fortunately, there's no evidence again.
Yeah, okay, well, when you say no evidence, you mean empirical evidence. And we've already discussed the empirical point.
You could assert anything and say there's no evidence for it. But
Exactly,
it's true.
thank you, exactly.
You could say anything is true by that logic.
Yeah, okay, but the thing is, what you're failing to understand, yeah, is that we believe in the metaphysical descriptions mentioned in the Quranic discourse because of the evidences that the Quran presents. Do you get it? So, for instance, if a quantum physicist came to you and says X, Y, Z is happening on a atomic or a subatomic level, yeah, you would accept their testimony based on the fact that they've got the instruments and the qualifications and the ability to potentially tap into this domain of the quantum physical world.
Peer reviewing too at times.
Pardon?
Peer reviewing.
Yes, you do have peer reviewing. Okay, so what we're saying.
You can't peer review the Quran. Apparently it's true.
Hold on. Actually, there is a way of falsifying the Quran. The Quran gives a. Pardon? Because your assumption.
That has a few scientific basic principles that were known about for years before that. Everything there was common, like the salt and the sweet water.
Okay.
That was common knowledge, and they do actually mix. You have brackish water in, estuary.
Well, I haven't made the argument to you right now that this was not.
That has some things that were known about that are actually true. They were already known about.
Okay.
And then a lot of other stuff that may not be true. There's no proof for it, but you saying that everything is. You can show things are true these days. Like this,
We're not 1,400 years ago.
they knew about those principles already.
I know, but you couldn't just. I'll let Hijab and Muhammad
go
continue.
ahead.
But you would not be able to differentiate. So if I had 50 miracles, as would be, yeah, I have to be very smart to be able to pick only the 10 that are right and leave the rest that are incorrect.
These are basic concepts that they already knew about. That's what I'm saying.
No.
For instance, it's good.
They couldn't prove it.
Let's use embryology, right? So of all the things that in terms of scientific things, now I'm not an advocate of what you call trying to prove the Quran using science. I'm not an advocate of that. Because frankly, as we've said... No. What I'm saying to you is, from the philosophy of science, as we've discussed before, Thomas Kuhn's writings, I think, are very accurate and very descriptive in this, that science it does change and it's not perfect in terms of its epistemological truth value. However, if we look at, you were saying that, is there any, because what you seem to be indicating here, is there anything in the Quranic discourse which is concurrent with the scientific reality as is known today, which wasn't known at that time or before that time? And I say, yeah, I agree that I believe that there are parts of the Quran which fit that description. And what I would say is, the parts of the Quran which fit that description relate to the embryological development of the woman, of the womb. I believe that it fits that description. For instance, yeah, I read the works of Galen, I've read the works of Hippocrates, and I've read the works of Aristotle on this, yeah? All of which, in the case of Aristotle, all wrong, thank you. But Aristotle, for instance, he believed that the baby was formed as a result of menstruation and sperm coming together. And he also believed that the baby...
Yeah, fluids coming together.
No. Menstruation and he specified menstruation and sperm coming together. And he also said that he believed that the baby would be the same form and then just grow bigger and bigger. So in other words, he didn't believe in incremental development of the baby. And he didn't believe that